Hi, this is Dr. Nick. I'm the incrementalist here with Incremental Insights for better business, better health.
And this is Fred Goldstein with Accountable Health here, helping employers, payers, and others with their population health improvement programs. So, Nick, last week we briefly touched upon this issue of vaccines for those 5 to 11. I understand there's an update.
Well, in following suit, the Center for Disease Control, or the CDC, has followed the FDA guidance, which essentially recommended that children aged 5 through 11, so that covers now down to the age of 5, are now eligible. This is for the Pfizer vaccination, and they're getting a slightly different dose. So it's being bundled separately. It's different to the booster dose, it's different to adult dosing. And interestingly, what I've heard through some of the interactions is much of that has been distributed, although I imagine many pediatric offices are buried with calls with folks that are pushing to get it. So that's good news. That lowers the age with which we can start to protect people. Obviously, the committee, like all of us, considered the pros and cons, but essentially came out universally in favor of allowing for this vaccine because the protection, even in the small number of cases, and we have seen death in children, let's not lose sight of that, even with some vaccine side effects. And the myocarditis seems to be the predominant one. That's very rare. And when it does occur, it seems to occur slightly more in male children versus female children, but it resolves of its own accord. So benefits vastly outweigh the risks associated with the vaccination.
So, I would assume if we can get that group vaccinated at a fairly high level, we can then reduce the risk of transmission to other people who might be more at risk for severe illness.
Absolutely. It increases the overall numbers, and it also protects that small or subset of the community. It expands everything down. We had it for 12 and up. We've sort of expanded. There's now obviously that gap in the newborns through to aged 5. That's a much harder group, obviously, both to test and also follow through in terms of safety. Good news around that is that mothers who have been vaccinated, and they are also authorized and should be getting vaccinated, are passing on the immunity through breast milk, it would appear, based on some of the studies. So there is some protection that's being offered to neonates through their mothers if they've been vaccinated as well.
Oh, that's fascinating to know. So, I know another area we sort of want to discuss a little bit is we're now at this 86th week, I believe. And why do we keep doing this, Nick? What's there?
Yeah, question I do ask myself, but I believe my responsibility as a physician. I trained as a medical doctor. I went to medical school. I practiced medicine, and I have done my best to keep up to date with the latest news, science, and to make sure that I understand what's going on. I'm certainly not one of the primary experts in the community, but I believe that I have a good handle on things. And I've been advising people around COVID-19. In this particular instance, I think the main reason we did this, in part for us to sort of have this conversation, but also I believe that if I can convert just one person to believe that the science is correct and that they are safe to obtain vaccine and follow the guidance that we've got throughout the country, then I'm not just protecting their life, I'm protecting all the downstream potential risks that would have been exposed had they not been vaccinated and actually got the disease, and potentially their own risk, but also the risk of spreading that to other people. What about you, Fred?
Yeah, I think one, it's been an intellectual curiosity. I've enjoyed the heck out of learning it. Obviously, it's part of our consulting work that we've done for a number of organizations, and continue to do. And also, as you talked about, it's impacting individuals, but also I want companies to understand the broad breadth of what it takes right now in a pandemic. And it's something that as that science changes, we need to obviously update it, update what we understand, and recognize that science is an ongoing learning process. There's going to be something new learned tomorrow, the next day, etc., which may change ultimately how we deal with this pandemic. And I think it's important for employers to understand this issue and understand some of the resources. It's an infection. You've got issues with air handling. You've got issues potentially with contact. You've got issues with your employees coming to the workplace, vaccines, treatments, healthcare costs, all of those. And it really becomes a fairly complex problem that I think hopefully we've been able to impart some insights so other individuals and employers can make better decisions for themselves and their companies.
Yeah, I think you bring up an interesting point. That's the other area from my perspective. Prior to this, large organizations would have a health officer of some description, but most small organizations couldn't afford those kind of resources. I think that was one of the other areas that we certainly wanted to do, was to provide sort of a fractional kind of support infrastructure that was not just clinical, but also importantly, the population health and the understanding of the statistics around all of this. That, I think every company needs, even in small, single digits, double digit employees. If you're not understanding this, if you're relying on Joe down the corridor who deals with OSHA stuff, I think you're missing both opportunity and exposing yourself to enormous risk.
Mm-hmm. And I think one other thing I just want to add, and we've heard this directly, both of us, from some of the folks that we do work with, it gives an outside opinion. Oftentimes, a group working together will end up getting this group think, and being able to have a third party that they can kind of turn to that's independent from some of the culture, et cetera, can help them better think through these issues. And hopefully, we've been able to get some of that across as well. So, with that, another fantastic week, Nick. Thanks so much. This is Fred Goldstein with Accountable Health. If you'd like more information, please go to our website, accountablehealthllc.com.
And this is Dr. Nick. I'm the incrementalist here with Incremental Insights for better business, better health.